Virtual staging is included. The unethical practice of this is simply swapping out power lines or cracks in the driveway with some AI and never bothering to mention this in the listing description. Or worse, AI generates your listing description and it kind of adds its own flair without realizing you have skirted beyond what is the absolute truth in your description paragraph. These are all things that you have to do. AI is fine. You can certainly use all of these technologies, but they are not to do the thinking for you. They are not the licensed agent, and they are not the ones that are going to end up in court if you are caught doing it and using incorrect information. It's false advertising and it will get you barred. Scenario 3. This one's very big right now, especially if you're trying to explain your commission setup on the buyer side. Ethically, you must, absolutely must, disclose who's paying your fees before anybody is signing. You need to put it in writing. I understand what the buyer's brokerage agreement says. It says that I expect to get paid for my services, and my services are expected to be paid by you, the buyer that I am working with, unless we negotiate it together to come from other ways in the transaction. But a buyer needs to understand that regardless of what has happened in the past, they need to expect to be paying your commission either themselves or to help negotiate it in the purchase of that next contract. Unethically, if you bury that commission detail in fine print and you spring it on them at the closing table and they end up having to come out of pocket when they're used to the old ways of doing business where they just assume a seller is paying for it because it's the way it words in the contract, or they just assume that because they did business that way in the past, that's the way it's always going to be in the future. It's unethical. You need to re-educate your clients if they have that impression, and they need to make sure to know this is the way business is done. The transparency in the buyer's broker's agreements are to make sure that everybody is playing by the rules. Yes, for all of you really good agents out there, I know this is a cumbersome and a complete pain in the ass for you. However, the good suffer for the bad, and there have been a lot of exposed bad agents out there that have simply represented our craft poorly, and the reason for these additional documents exist. Number 4, a buyer asked about the quality or how good is the neighborhood. Ethically, look, you can share objective data. You can share public record, crime statistics that are out there. You can share what the numbers are, but you can't have an opinion on it. School ratings. There are public websites like Great Schools that allow you to say what a school was ranked by. I certainly advise you to go beyond that and check the public county records for that school to see how they graded themselves or how they were graded in the county and not just at that national survey level. And then direct buyers to relatable sources. So tell them, here's where I get this information. Here's where I get these numbers. From that, you can gauge your own opinion, but I'm not allowed to give you one. And be frank with them and just tell them, I cannot have an opinion about this. The neighborhood I live in versus the neighborhood that you want to live in versus what someone may consider a superior or inferior neighborhood is all perspective and it's all opinion based. I don't sell opinion, sell houses. Unethically, steering will get you in a courthouse. You cannot steer clients away from an area because you're using coded language like I don't feel like this neighborhood is really your vibe, or families don't usually buy here. Stuff like that, those sneaky languages that you use in there going, I don't remember hearing this much loud music in my neighborhood. Or, wow, there are a lot of cars that are doing repairs right next door to this house. Didn't you say, right? Things like that. These are steering comments. They can all be used against you in court. Don't do it. Period. Scenario number 5, and this will help you. Client just closed 3 months ago. You're chatting with a fellow agent. Ethically, you can keep the conversation light, professional, no mention of the client's finances, relationship status, or anything personal. It is okay for us to tell real estate stories, but you better not call out who a customer is or just like doctor patient privilege, if that seems to be something people understand better, you're not allowed to talk about your clients or their situations, especially with people that know who they may be. We tell stories for examples, just like in these case studies that I talk to you about all the time. But I'm not going to hang that on a client or a name or give you so much information that you may be able to figure out who it is because you know who I've worked with recently and the houses I've closed on are public record. Casually mentioning some past client's divorce or debt situation at a networking event, honestly, they should pull your ethics card and should pull your license too. It's simply not okay. Every client's got their own story and situation, and I'm sure every real estate agent does as well. So keep your mouth shut and keep your client's business to yourself. Let's talk about compliancy. Big word meaning here's what we gauge you on to get you in trouble if you don't do it. Staying compliant and staying continuously educated in real estate. The code of ethics training is an ongoing part of you not only staying sharp and informed, but it'll keep you compliant throughout your career. Whether you're a brand new agent or whether you've been doing this for a long time and seasoned like myself, or an old school agent like some of my colleagues, that joke is inside and certainly for them. Um, Keeping up with the realtor requirements is going to help you protect your business. So here's how you stay on top of that. Number one, mark your calendars now. The NAR requires code of ethics training every 3 years, but that deadline will sneak up on you and it'll sneak up on you fast, especially for those of you that your state has its own timeline throughout the US. Setting that recurring reminder and knocking it out early, not during renewal crunch time, is going to go a long way to helping you keep it done. And you'll be able to take the ethical training in a way that it's buried in a class that you want to take, and you're not just stuck doing nothing but ethics and testing on nothing but ethics, so that you can keep your license updated. Next, check your business materials regularly. Even put another set of eyes on it in your brokerage if you can. You need to take time every single quarter, renew your listing descriptions, marketing messages, disclosures, client materials. Look for any unclear claims of anything that might raise red flags under the code. If you got a high school student in your household, tell them the rules of the game and offer them hey, I want you to find anything in here that looks shady or anything in here that looks like it may be deceptive language. They're going to root out something that they may not like at a younger age. Might give you a little bit of clarity into something that maybe you shouldn't have said it that way. Look for specifically unclear claims, anything that might raise a red flag under the code of ethics. Document everything. You need to maintain simple logs, folders, notes inside of your CRM that track when offers were presented, when client funds were handled. You got to have a proper paper trail always, and this is going to go beyond protecting you. It's going to protect the transaction itself. And then stay in the loop. Talk about it. Ethical standards evolve. Classes like this, coachings that we do every single week, will help you keep an eye on updates from the NAR and from the local real estate board, specifically around compensations, fair housing, marketing practices. These things change constantly, especially even to a level of the MLS itself. So when something changes, talk about it with the team, talk about it so everybody's on the same page. Brokers, I'm looking at you. You have a responsibility when the rules change to re-expose that to your team. Yes, it's their responsibility as a 1099 structured person, consultant in your firm to keep themselves educated. But at a brokerage level, you have a responsibility of knowing how to sing that song too and make sure everybody knows the lyrics in your organization. Look, if you are due for an ethical training this year, that CE shop that you'll constantly get emails about, continuing education course packages include the NAR Code of Ethics, include fair housing courses. It's very simple to complete your NAR requirements without overcomplicating the process. So you can go straight to them if you would like. It's easy, and it's an access that you have an email about probably every week.